Nicole. Welcome to Spark TV.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat, and we've already had a really great little intro chat. So I'm really excited to continue that on.
I know it's so funny. Like, I find half the guests I have on the show, we like have to stop. I'm like, hang on a second. We're covering everything now before I even hit record. Like, we're too chatty.
So the gold is coming out before the buttons hit. Stop.
I know. Well, it's actually funny because sometimes I hit record and people kind of get their game face on, and
Yeah.
then I hit stop and they just relax and start talking. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, we wanted that in the
Yeah.
podcast. But anyway, I'm sure it won't be like that. Let's kick off by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
Amazing. Well, I am Nicole Smith and I'm the founder of the Artisans Business Solutions. And what we do over here is really help businesses to find the way they want to work through their operations. So, how we do that looks and feels very different depending on where you are in business and what you're looking to achieve. But we come in as either a fractional COO support or looking at the back end operations of your business. So, it's all, I think, all the fun stuff, getting efficiencies, foundations, all the sexy stuff of business that really actually helps you deliver what you're there to do. Yeah.
I love that. I think we have such a big focus on sales and delivery. And then, and that's as new business owners, especially, we kind of go, this is the thing I'm great at. I'll just go find people so I can do those things. And then it's all the other stuff, all the ops stuff that actually sometimes people aren't that great at.
Yeah.
And we're muddling through a little bit, but that is all of the stuff that actually sets you up when you're really ready to scale.
That's exactly right. And I think, really, if you think about the lifespan of a business, depending on where you are when you enter a business. So if you've had a
Mhm.
business before, you've already gone through the trials and tribulations of working out who am I as a business owner and what is a business actually need. Otherwise, it's that sort of first 5 years. You're right in, you're trialing, you're testing, and you're being curious about, well, do I want a business that's just me? Do I want a business that's going to be a team of 50? Am I in an office? Am I working from home? What tech do I like? How do I actually like to work and operate? There are so many people telling you what to do out in the world, and sometimes that gets really noisy. And so, what I love to do is actually come in and support you to find out who are you and who is your business and what does that tone look like? And then we shape everything around that because it's everyone's unique, right? It's
Yeah.
wonderful when you find how you like to work.
I love
Yeah.
that because I feel like, so I'm from the vintage of, so a decade ago, it was all raise capital, be a startup, like
Yeah.
big teams, big fancy offices, blah, blah, blah. I scaled to a team of 20 and then I was like, oh, I don't like people. And
Yes.
I had this whole mental breakdown because I was like, I've built this whole business that I don't like. Like, I
Yep.
hate this model, but I kind of just did what I thought you were supposed to do in
Hmm.
business. And I feel like we've had a little renaissance in the last few years where people are now starting to talk about actually, you're allowed to design your business the way you would like to operate it.
Exactly. And understanding that the word scale has so many
Mm.
different definitions. So, I was actually just talking to my brother, I'm sure you won't mind me sharing this, last
Yeah,
night
yeah,
around
go for it.
scale. Like he's
Yeah.
been in business for 10 years, very successful graphic and branding designer. And his idea of scale is to build a business that's sustainable for the lifestyle he wants to live.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Whereas you talk to Bob next door, and Bob's idea of scale is building that huge business where it's under management and it just kind of, does its day-to-day stuff. So, yeah, I think when you're a business owner and you understand and connect with what scale means for you, what success means for you as well, I think that helps bring all those pieces into line.
So this is going to be published at the beginning of 2025. So some people will be listening to it live, other people will discover it at a later date. But I think this is relevant no matter what time of year, but it's kind of pertinent to now because everyone's in there like, oh my God, change my life, New
Yeah.
Year's vibes. How do you figure out what's right for you? Do you have, any tips for someone who might be listening to this going, I think I've built something that's not sustainable, that's not serving me, that doesn't feel aligned? Like, how do you actually figure out what you want your business to look like?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. A lot of it can is trial and error.
Mm.
And you get to a point where you think, actually, this just feels, I don't want to do that. It's really yucky. But if you are at the start, think about when you were employed, right? If you were in a big team, were you the person that just got in and got it done and just you like to just be by yourself? Or were you the person that was going, hey guys, come on, let's get this organized. And what if we imagined it this way? And if we go this way and you're a natural leader,
Mm.
thinking about what that team culture and environment looked like in that employment space. Because when you move over into your own business, the world is endless. All the possibilities are open. And
Yeah.
it's really about, in that ideal world, take off I call them the self-editing moments. I'm very good at self-editing. I'm
Me too.
working, yeah, I'm working to be better at it. So I'm sure a lot of your listeners have got that same beautiful trait. But, try and pin that thought to the side, that self-editing thought. What is that first feeling? If I said to you in 10 years' time and you were still in this business, what does that look like?
Mm.
How does that feel? What are you doing in a day? Are you working with clients still because you just love that transactional experience? Or are you out, I don't know, riding horses on a Wednesday because that just brings you so much joy and you've got a trusted team in there that are doing the things for you? Really being that big picture blue sky thinking, shoes off on the grass in the sun sounds a bit woo woo, but just lean into it and really connect in with yourself. It's amazing what you can discover when you create that space. Let's
Mm.
busyness, put the busyness out. We don't want busyness. Connect in with what's actually truly for you. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned, the example of what does it look like in the future, and even circling back to the scale word. I was chatting to one of our Spark members before Christmas, and she was saying, I've just been working with someone and they've been saying, to scale, you've got to bring in all of these people. And then she's like, and then I've got to be the sales BD kind of person. She's like, I want to do the work. Like, I
Mhm.
actually love helping these people. I want my day to be filled with more of that, not just being a manager of people who are
Yeah.
doing the thing that I want to do. And I think that there is this old school mentality that there's one way, there is
Mhm.
one way. So I just love that idea of taking space and visualizing what does the ideal business look like so that that can be the beacon that you're working towards.
It's like the cookie cutter analogy. It's
Mm.
like we work a lot with technology in business, and many times you buy an off the shelf solution and you have to kind of shove yourself into it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't work under that mentality. My mentality is design how you want to operate, design what that business looks like. Where are you now? So if we talk about team and org chart, create that now org chart. And you'll
Mm.
probably got, if you are just started or early days still, or maybe you all just want to be a solopreneur, your name is in all those boxes. But say in 5, 10 years, if you know and you can visualize that marketing is not your thing or sales is not your thing, and you've got, Joe's name in that box now, you can start to see that pathway and you can actually
Mm.
plan. Awareness is the key to all success. We
Yeah.
make decisions based on the data. Bring in the dorky geek in me, not dork, but
Do
the geek
it.
in
Do
me. I
it.
love it. Love a bit of data.
Yeah.
I was talking with a client about that just yesterday. If you've got the data behind you, you can make educated decisions even. Words. It's
Yeah.
January still, so we're still getting our tongues
Don't
back in
worry,
our
I
mouth.
might need another coffee as well already today.
Exactly. And yeah, I think then it will actually help you collecting that evidence, seeing that visualization of what it is, and being able to take that one next step that moves you closer to what that's going to be.
Yeah, and it really interests me, getting nerdy for a second and
Do it,
measuring
lean
your
in.
everything.
Yeah.
We had our first CEO time call this week, which is basically our monthly accountability call, so people can check their metrics, plan ahead. And we had a new member come in. It's just like, I've never measured anything before. Like, I've not
Yeah.
really done this. And I was like, people, it doesn't matter how long you're in business, there are still people who don't measure all of the important things in their business. And look, I'm a on the side of simple kind of person. I don't think you need to measure literally, everything, but there are just some really key things in a business that if you do measure and if you do have access to that data, it does make those decisions so much easier to make. And it does also, I find, take the emotion out of the decision. Sometimes I think I said this on another podcast, but I was like, when I go to my husband and go, oh my God, the world's falling apart, my business sucks. And he's like, okay, well, what do the numbers say? How did we go last through? And because he's a GM, so he's a business guy.
Gets it.
He gets it. And I'll say, oh, well, and rattle off the numbers. And he's like, oh, so it's not actually bad at all. It's funny
So
how
you're not falling off a cliff. You're
we're not
actually
falling off a cliff at
okay.
all. Everything's
Yeah.
fine. But it is funny how if you don't have those metrics and you
Yeah.
don't have that data, that it is so easy to just kind of make decisions on a whim or, I guess, knee jerk a little bit based on our emotions. Whereas if we do have access to that data, we can be a lot more informed and educated and know that we're on the right path towards whatever the goal is.
And our mind is such a powerful tool,
Mm.
and it's very good at creating these silent stories
Yeah,
that
these
actually,
dramas.
oh yeah, and when you're a creative mind as well, I think you've got this, it's like full, 4D, whatever the most, high
Mm.
def visuals of what's going on. And if you ask yourself, well, what is the evidence to back that up? And if you are looking at your numbers or whatever it is that metric, how is my team actually performing well? I'm checking in with them in the weekly huddles we're having, and we're doing this and that. And actually, they're saying that they're happy with what's going on. Or the client feedback. I know in the past I've been really amazing at imagining that I've done a really shit job. Excuse the swearing if I'm not allowed to
Yeah,
swear.
go
That's
for it,
probably
go
not
for
a
it, go
swear.
for it. Go
Um,
for it.
so like PG.
Very
I'm like,
welcome on
oh.
this podcast.
Yeah. But you imagine these stories of like, oh, under delivered, I've this, that, and the other. And then you get this
Mm.
email through, and it's just like, I had one this week. Thank you so much for everything you've done. You've transformed the way our business is operating. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I do know what I'm doing.
yeah, I can back myself. Yeah. Talking about the awareness and the data, I think it's around what is the standards that we're holding ourselves to.
Yes.
So my husband and I, it's on the personal side, not business, but it's relative across both. We've actually committed this year to having our own finance and home meetings where
Oh,
we
I
go
love that.
through, we look at the cash flow, we look at this, we make decisions on our meals for the next fortnights, and all these sorts of things, the household standards that, are really important as a human to function, to then come in and show up the best way you need to and you want to in a business to serve your clients and your communities and all of that sort of thing. So, really understanding for you as a business leader, what are the standards? What is the standard for you, but what is the standard for the business as a whole? Are you going to
Mm.
allow your team to come in and do X, Y, Z? Or is it actually up here? And really supporting them and communicating them with your team to understand why that's important to you in the business. Yeah.
I love that. And look, and I think though it will feel a bit scary for
Oh,
some
yeah.
people. Is there, if somebody's listening right now and they're kind of feeling a little all over the place, is there anywhere that you would start with a business? So when you go into a business and you've defined that vision, this is where we're going, this is our measure of success. When it comes to those metrics, those processes, the team, like, is there somewhere that you start if someone's coming in and going, oh my God, everything's a
Yeah.
little all over the place?
Every business is so different.
Mm.
But we have a process called the business operational diagnostics, saying it a little bit,
Ooh, love
and we're
it.
high level view,
Yep.
right? We want to know, what is your mission and vision? Do you
Mm.
have the financial rhythms in place? What is your now org chart? What is your future org chart? What are those visions that you're wanting to create? And then we go into the tactile. So what are you using? How are you doing it? Who's in the zoo? What's the pain? What are the obstacles? What's got you here that's stopping you from moving forward? And I
Mm,
think having that big picture, then again, it's that awareness piece. Then you can make
yeah.
those informed decisions. If you are sitting there though and you're like, Nicole, that just sounds like a whole freaking huge thing, take a piece of paper out, outside, big space. Please go outside in a big space, blue sky. Hopefully you're not in Melbourne. Well, it's nice today, but blue sunny sky, and just dump it out. Get it out of your brain. Think about all those things that are going on in there. Where are we at with this silo of the business? Finances, what are we doing here? Technology, what are we doing here? HR, what's happening there? Wish list, obstacles, and then all of a sudden it's going to start to see. You're going to know, feel that gut feel, what's actually
Mm,
happening in your business. Because we're very good at the blinkers going on, like the horses,
yeah.
blinkers, the avoidance techniques when things are feeling a little bit challenging. I really encourage you, if you're feeling anything about avoidance, is just be really curious. What's
Yeah.
going on there? Why am I feeling like this? What is it that if I move that out of the way would make that next thing easier for me?
Mm.
Yeah,
I
you
love
got
that.
it. You can do it.
It's the real power in, you know, kind of confronting that fear and shining a light on where you're at, you know?
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
that it's such a great point about avoidance. You are so right. I think we do, get lost in the busy work a little bit sometimes, and we forget to put our CEO hat on. Like, what doesn't
Hmm.
matter if you are a solopreneur or you have a team of 100, you're the CEO of your business,
Yeah.
and that will take on different forms, but at the end of the day, you are that person that is responsible for understanding where you're at, where you're going to go, and what you got to do to get there. And we do get trapped, I think, in that busy work, the to-do list. The power is in that stopping and that space and that shining a light on where we're at and what we're avoiding.
There's also the message out there so frequently with the accessibility to support and help. And it is amazing, right? So we can bring in a virtual assistant, or we can bring in a fractional COO or HR person, or to whatever it might be that you need, right? But you've hit the nail on the head. This is your business. It's not about giving the reins over. You still need to have that oversight on where you are, what are the decisions, why. That strategic direction is controlled by yourself as that business owner and business leader. And I think when it gets really busy and we're feeling overwhelmed, which I'm sure many of the people listening now, we've all been there, the 2 a.m. nights or the non-sleeping nights, you wake up in the morning, I need 10 trillion coffees to function.
Yeah.
This is normal business entrepreneurial life. Like, we get
Yes.
it. But just I forgot my train of thought now, talking about coffee. Just lean into, what it is that you need to be aware of as a business leader. I love you've got those CEO days in your community, because when you have that space carved out, standards, we're coming back to standards.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't cancel something that's blocked in for you. That's your business time.
Oh my God,
That's a
I love that.
priority. Yeah,
It's such a good point. Like, yeah, don't cancel something because you would never cancel on a client. Don't cancel on yourself.
exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so good. And now you mentioned a couple of times this idea of a fractional COO. So, what does that actually mean for people who might not be familiar with the word fractional?
Yeah, 100%. So the easiest way I describe it is as needed, right?
Mm,
So for a purpose, so for an example, we're working with a client right now. They're looking for some stability in a time of transition. And so what I do is I come into that business. I work with those key stakeholders, understand where they are, what are the really important things they're looking to bring in. One of them is stability. Fantastic. So what is it that I can do as the fractional COO to support that business over whatever time frame it is, to really ingrain those behaviors, those practices, empower the team, think about things at a strategic level, and open up the vision of the business leaders and the leadership team as well. In the day in, day out, think about it like we're in a box when we're in our business. And we
Yes.
only see what we see. So it's probably not good for a video, but we only see what we see. When an
Mm.
external person comes in and shines some light, a different way of thinking, something
Yeah.
that maybe we've been avoiding for a little bit, you know,
Mhm.
it brings me so much joy, and it's such a privileged position to be in. Just having the power of a conversation with someone that is external from the day to day
Yeah.
is just oh yeah, it's real chills. It's so good.
And I just find, you will ask the business owner questions that they've not sat down and answered before, that that
Yeah,
they've not asked themselves. And I think there's so much power in asking the right questions,
yeah.
because otherwise we do sometimes, yeah, we kind of go, I know that's my big goal, but for some reason I keep getting stuck here. And then someone comes in and asks a question like this, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. It's that getting out of your own head, being asked the sometimes tough questions or sometimes just different questions. It can be the bridge to what's holding you back.
And creating that supportive space as well. It's
Yeah.
it's not around me coming in and being like, you need to do this and have to do that and must. Must is not in my vocabulary. That's even the word. There we go. January is doing
I
things to
love
my
it.
tongue
I love
again.
it.
It's, I'm here to be a guide and a
Yeah.
support for you, and to be curious around, okay, well, what does that actually look like? Or
Mm,
what could that look like if we did this instead of this? Or have you thought about that?
mm,
The benefits of having a fractional C-suite in your business, and there are so many out there, and I'm so excited that it's growing. The CFO space has been the real guiding light for a long, long time, and so
mm,
all of us others, the marketing, everyone's coming through, but we've all had experience in various areas. So my background is I've worked in corporate businesses in Australia and in London in financial services, and then moved into small business back in Melbourne here in financial services and logistics. So we've had a vast array of experience, and we're
mm.
bringing, my vision anyway is funneling it in. Earphones falling out, sorry. Funneling it in to give that bigger business thinking to accessibility for our small business humans. Like, how
Yeah.
fun, you
That
know?
is so powerful. And must be really interesting for you going from employee in big business and seeing that level, being that operational strategic person, and then giving that advice and helping other businesses through that same process. But then you've had to live it because now you run your own business.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
What's that been like for you?
Fun. Look, I'm just entering my 6th year in business myself. And I have to say the first 5 years have been a journey of exploration.
Yep.
Even though I know and have known from my heart what I've wanted to do from day one, I allowed myself to listen to the guides of others and
Yeah.
went on this journey around creating this space that the value that I bring was not really the space that I was playing in. So, just as you are, as business leaders listening here, we've been there, we've done that, we've got the coffee mug. I've
Yep.
got all the experience. I forgot, actually, to be honest, I forgot about my own experience.
Wow.
I forgot that the projects I worked on and the level that I operated on and the standards I held myself accountable to when I was working for others. I did forget that for a moment in time. So it's really exciting to be back here now in January 2025. And I feel like everything's fully aligned now. And yeah, it's exciting because I now can have the standards for myself that I support other businesses to have.
Oh my God. I just love it so much. It is wild because, a lot of times women in business do that, right? They are
Mhm.
absolutely incredible in their field, decide to go out on their own and do kind of just forget their worth, forget their value, forget that they were absolutely killing it and amazing because I think the weight of the things you don't know, like, oh, now I'm a bookkeeper, now I'm a marketing person, now I dance on reels for some reason, But it
Yeah.
is that, I think, because of the unknown and the things we have to learn, yes, you do need to adopt a beginner's mindset sometimes and get help and learn and take all the courses and all the things. But that doesn't devalue what you bring to the table. That doesn't devalue your experience. You are still up here. You are still absolutely unbelievable at what you do. And you just can't forget to bring that energy into your business.
And I don't know, many people listening probably, when you're in your zone of genius, like watch out. I just click into some other realm
Yes.
and I'm so excited, enthusiastic, and my mind just does these things that I can't even explain. I can see all this stuff zooming around, and then we get into like workflows and all the things, right? And I think it's because my purpose, my inner purpose is so clear that
Mm.
I've been in businesses where I have hated going to work. The culture, I just remember being in one where I had asked to work from home. This was pre-COVID, like that was a normal thing. And I was in charge of the IT system. So I had set up the business so that it was fully remote. And the answer to my request to work from home for a day was no.
Wow.
And that was, I think, I had a beautiful experience after that. But that was the first spark of there's got to be a better way. Like,
Mm.
imagine if we can create businesses that people love being in, they love
Yes.
what they do, they love where they're working, they love who's surrounded with them. And as a business leader, you just love it. Like, oh, and that is possible. And that's, I think, why I love what I do. And I'm still here going
Yeah.
into my 6th year because, I think with any journey, there's ups and downs and there's lefts and rights. And like, what am I doing? You're at 3 a.m. in the morning searching on Seek to see what jobs are available. And you're like, no, beep, beep, delete. That's not
Yeah.
happening. It is so easy to say no, to
Mm.
say, I'm going to put that to the side. It's actually really a credit to yourself for really giving it a hot shot and just leaning in and doing those hard things and giving yourself the opportunity to work on your inner work. There is the busyness, there is the client work, there is all that stuff. But until you actually pause and focus inner, you know, that's when the magic really, really kicks in.
Oh my God, I absolutely love it. You are the exact person that I needed to speak to today. You are
You
the
are
pep talk
welcome.
that I needed. Oh, I love it. Now, we could talk all day, but I always love to wrap up these podcasts with one last piece of advice.
Yeah.
So, reflecting on your time in business, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to another woman on her business journey?
You are the number one, right? So, what I mean by that is say yes to you first. I actually, on my first set of business cards, and I found these when I was doing the deep clean of my office the other day, I have on here, if you're watching, if you're not watching, apply your oxygen mask
Oh,
first.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, you've
Yep.
probably heard that across the worlds before, but I
Mm.
think when the busyness happens, when those moments of self-doubt happens, we tend to just go into the doing and the over-delivering and the over-marketing, creating and all of those things. But if we just surrender and if we allow ourselves to, speaking literally from my go to that Zumba class that I've started this on a Thursday night, that's a
Yeah.
priority. If we put our own oxygen masks on first, you can do and achieve absolutely anything. So take that with you on a January of 2025 and report back at the end because I want to know how is your oxygen flow going this year?
Oh, so good. Nicole, you are incredible. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, sharing your wisdom, sharing your journey. Absolutely incredible and so grateful for you.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved this conversation.